What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Fandoms Anonymous. This is another installment in the one-on-one series. We have been talking to some amazing people all over the United States each and every week. You're checking it out. You're seeing the interviews in the one-on-one series from firefighters to art designers to cosplayers to web creators to cooks. We even did one with the chef and did a little cooking show. And it's just been fun. But I got somebody on the line. I call him the Wayne Brady of interviewing, the Wayne Brady of meeting celebrities, of traveling and going to all these screenings. This man is everywhere. I got the man from that hashtag show, Mr. Joseph Deckelmeier. How you doing today, Joseph?
I'm great, Malcolm. How you doing, man?
I'm awesome, man. Just getting off work, getting in home, and doing what I love, getting right to it. Well, it's awesome to get a chance, opportunity to talk with you.
And you as well, man. I really like what you do with the one-on-one series.
Most definitely, man. And let people know out there and giving people opportunity to hear from different people and what it is that they do. So because you do so many things, let's try to go one by one. So we won't get the people confused. Like, wait a minute, he said he does interviews, he does screenings, he does this. So we're going to go one by one because there are different people out there who want to do some of these things that you do. I know, for an example, I'm doing the content creating, so I'm up under that umbrella with you. I'm doing the interviewing, so I'm up under that umbrella with you. But there are a lot of different hats that you put on in your day-to-day basis. So let's first start with the interviewing. Now, this is one of the key things to me. I live and breathe through your Facebook. Because, you know, you watch an episode of Access Hollywood, and when you ever watch Access Hollywood, they're always interviewing people. And, you know, they have the black screen, they have the poster of that movie that's up there, and then the celebrities sitting on one side of the interview. I was like, wait a minute. They do that on Access Hollywood. Wait a minute. This guy, I talk to this guy every once in a while. This is amazing. I have a friend who's a truck driver. So I live through his Facebook because he's always going somewhere. So when it comes, first of all, let's get into how you got to where you are now. How did you get your start?
Long story short, I was a producer for G4. I'm not sure if you remember G4. It was kind of like a geek channel. You do remember it? Let's have
a moment of silence for G4.
Yeah, I was a producer there.
Okay.
and they were going out, but the funny thing is that the company never failed. They just left a void. What was going on behind the scenes was Style Network was coming in, and they had bigger advertising dollars. So it was called Esquire Network at the time. They were coming in, had bigger, higher advertising dollars, and they got rid of G4. G4 never failed, actually. So my whole thing was I told a few people if I started doing this, how could I get this going again? And they pretty much told me, like, listen, if you were able to get something off the ground, we'd look at it for a TV show format. So I created that hashtag show with a couple friends, and that's kind of how it all opened the door. So me and everybody here at hashtag show started with me, and it started with my friend Josh, and we all come from the entertainment background here in LA, California. And we ended up growing it where we brought in people that were geeks, but also people that worked behind the scenes in a lot of the things we do in entertainment. And now there's 54 of us.
Oh, man.
So we grew pretty quick, and we were able to get a lot of big stories because we have so many people working. We know so many people working on some of these big movies. So once we kind of got that rolling with the big stories about, we got the Iron Fist casting news, we were able to get these character breakdowns for superhero movies, all the Marvel stuff and DC stuff, and that caught the attention of a lot of these other big outlets. So these bigger outlets wanted to start working with us, like Entertainment Weekly, Screen Rant, who I'm with now. So we have a lot of big people started coming to us, and that's kind of how we just got everything going. So I was never actually supposed to be an on-camera interviewer. I was actually always supposed to be a producer, and I never wanted to be an on-camera guy. It just kind of happened because I knew that, because we had a lot of turnover with a lot of the talent here in the very beginning, that I knew that I was never really going anywhere. So they put me in front of the camera, and then we built it around me pretty much.
Oh, that's awesome, and we have something in comparison. I'm from LA too, but your LA and my LA is two different things. I'm from Lower Alabama, so
I've been to Alabama. I've been to Alabama before.
What part of Alabama have you been to?
I was in Dothan shooting a TV show.
Oh, Dothan. Okay, I'm from Mobile, which is probably a cut away from Dothan, maybe about an hour and a half to 2 hours. If you didn't know, there are a lot of movies that were filmed in Mobile.
Really?
A lot of movies are always filmed in Mobile. Nicolas Cage loves Mobile. Sometimes you don't know a movie is shooting in Mobile, and I'm not living in Mobile currently. I'm 2 hours away up north. But Nicolas Cage likes shooting movies in Mobile. Get Out was filmed in the Mobile Bay Area. It was filmed in Mobile, between the Mobile area and the Spanish Fort area. There was a scene. Go ahead. Sorry. There was a scene in that movie, Retired and Extremely Dangerous, with Bruce Willis and Helen Mirren. There was a small airport hangar scene. They filmed that down this way. I think it was, if I'm not mistaken, I think it's the Spielberg movie, Close Encounters of the Third Kind. I think it's a scene where the spaceship is leaving off. They filmed that in Mobile. So there's always been a lot of movies and stuff filmed down in that Mobile area. I think if you could just probably look it up, you'll be shocked at how many movies have been filmed down that way.
One thing I'll never forget about Alabama is the food is amazing out there.
Oh, man.
And you guys don't serve alcohol on Sundays.
I don't know where you were.
when I was in Dothan,
it depends.
Serve alcohol.
Now that's in Dothan. Dothan is part of is more rural, so they're still under some of those old guidelines. They're still under some of those old standards. It's more of that stuff. That kind of way you get those little country towns, those back roads. But I know in Mobile, you can get some good beverages on Sundays and a lot of different.
Oh, and you know what?
The metropolitan
cities. Snakes out there. I saw a bunch of snakes like in the road.
There's a lot of different snakes. It depends on, like I say, it really depends on where you are. There are even armadillos out down this way.
Yeah, not in Los Angeles. We don't really have armadillos in
armadillos in Los Angeles. Now, one thing about your interviewing that I like is, and I'm learning something today. So when you're interviewing on the behalf of that hashtag show.
I'm interviewing on the behalf of that hashtag show and Screen Rant, yes.
Okay. Now, I'm going to tell you what I always thought. I always thought that you had that hashtag show as your YouTube channel and your designation of where you post things from. And then you were doing interviews for other people, but you're doing everything under your baby.
Correct.
Now, that's awesome. I learned something today. Yeah. So I stand corrected.
I am doing things for Screen Rant. Don't get me wrong. Like I'm going to Hawaii next week to do a set visit for a Marvel show that's going to be out there, and pretty soon on if you watch my Facebook page, I'll be posting the interviews I did with the cast of Guardians of the Galaxy. But I am doing it for Screen Rant and that hashtag show. So the way that our cast works here is that me and Jessica and Maverick, who are my fellow castmates, we all work for that hashtag show. And we are the host for Screen Rant. Jessica also posts double duty because she's also a part of DC All Access. And a few of us now are going to be working with MCU Exchange. So we're going to be think of us as like the Avengers, and we're going to be starting to work with these other teams that are out there.
Yeah, that sounds awesome. So I know you can't say what you're going to Hawaii for. We know that for a fact. But one could speculate that it has something to do with Terrigen crystals or maybe a submarine nerd. You know, who knows? Who knows?
One could speculate.
One can speculate. But I love watching your interviews. Like I say, I live through it. Like I'm like, man, this week he's talking to Ryan Reynolds. This week he's talking to Jake Gyllenhaal. Oh man, this week he's talking to Jerry Moreno. Like I when I see those pictures, I love seeing it. And I'm like, now that shows me something that I want to do. Well, I'm already grown, but when I get to another higher level.
You know what? To tell you the truth, I bet you, if we're talking age range, I bet you we're about the same age.
I bet we probably are. What year were you born?
Yeah, I was born in '82. I'm 34.
Oh, you got about. I'm bad at math. I'm 20. I'll be 27 this year. I'm just gonna say that.
Oh, come on! I'm way older than you.
Most definitely. My wife has 5 years on me, so.
Oh wow.
So when I get to the level, it's something that I just think is so amazing. I had a chance to interview a lot of celebrities. I've interviewed David Fielding, who everybody knows,
nice.
Jordan. I've got a chance to interview Michael Rooker when he was at a convention down this way.
I just talked to him last week.
Most definitely.
Or this week, actually. I just talked to him on Tuesday.
And I got to interview my idol. I mean, my guy, my main man, Jason David Frank. Oh man,
JDF.
That was one of the best interviews I've ever done. And it's on the YouTube
We're going to
channel.
be having something coming up with him soon.
Most definitely. It's on the Founders Anonymous YouTube channel if you want to check it out. It is an amazing interview from start to finish. Like I said, I went to it's a convention in Pensacola, Florida, down this way called Pensacon. And once I saw that JDF was coming, I said, I have to get there. I got there,
nice.
I got photo ops with him, got a chance to take pictures with him, get stuff signed, all that good stuff. I get back home, I make a video on Instagram, and I tag him in it, and I'm like, man, it was amazing to meet JDF. You know, he showed so much love. He was so genuine and nice. I said, hopefully one day I'll get a chance to interview you. I'm at work one night, and my phone is blowing up. And I walk in the call center, and I'm like, okay, people know I can't have my phone at work. Who is calling me? So everybody's blowing me up like, hey man, check your Instagram. People, some of the guys that were calling me they couldn't even speak properly. Like all I heard was check Instagram. But they said a lot of stuff in between there. And I get to my Instagram, he's reshared my video and said, of course I'll interview with you, and told his people to get my information. And that was one of the most amazing interviews I've ever done. But back to your interviews, how does it feel when you get to sit in front of those celebrities? Like I know I would be fanboying out big time, but I would keep my composure for the sake of the interview. But how does it feel sometimes?
It all depends, and I'll tell you a funny story. So the first one I got asked to do was for Pete's Dragon, and that was back in like last September, maybe August, somewhere around there.
Right.
And I was supposed to, my very first interview was supposed to be with Robert Redford. And I remember thinking, there's no way I could interview Robert Redford. I'm not prepared for this. I can't do this. So I actually called out sick, and I didn't do it because I was so intimidated by it. And the next one I had to do was with Kate Mara and Anya Joy-Taylor for a film called Morgan. And then I was like, all right, you know what? I'm going to do this one. Let's just do it. When I did it, everything went fine. I told them it was my first time. We had a lot of fun doing it, and it went pretty good. And then I was like, I didn't feel like I had my personality. I was able to like really shine my personality. So I was like, on the next one of these, I'm not going to prepare. I'm not going to prepare questions. I'm just going to go in and just do it. Funny enough, I didn't really prepare questions, even though the whole time I was driving to it, I was preparing questions. What I ended up doing was I was driving down, and then they called me. They were like, hey, how far are you? And I was like, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes. And they were like, well, we're running early. Can you get here really fast? I was like, I can try. So I got there, and this usually never happens. I got there, rushed up the elevator. As soon as I got into the area where I was supposed to do my interviews, they rushed me right into a room. Now, normally you would wait with everybody, have a little food, converse with people. They rushed me right into the room. First interview, Jennifer Connelly. Second interview, Ewan McGregor. And that was without any prep time. I think those are some of my best things I've done. But literally, it's because I didn't have time to like really think about my questions, Mm-hmm. So go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, it's just different. Like at this point now, You just try to be as professional as you can, but definitely, man, when I'm sitting there across from, like, Benedict Cumberbatch or Chris Pratt, or Ryan Reynolds is a great example. I even told him, I was like, man, you're talking to me, but I'm so used to, like, Deadpool that, like, it's like Deadpool's talking to me, and he's like, well, imagine living with it, you know? And it's just, like, those moments that you get, and it's like, man, I can't believe that I'm here, you know?
And I share the same sentiments. My first celebrity interview I did was with David Fielding, and I'm big on prep time. Sometimes I prep very well. Sometimes I don't prep. Sometimes, like you say, I fall right into it. So with David Fielding, when I reached out to him and asked him could I interview him, because at one time I belonged to another fandom group that I founded with a friend of mine, but there were some creative differences, and I took a break, and I decided to create my own, and that's where I am now. And in less than 4 months, I've hit 10,000 views on YouTube. So
nice.
I'm doing pretty good, and I love what I'm doing. But
congratulations, man.
Appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. It was with David Fielding, and I said, okay, what not to do, and it hit me. It said, do not interview him based on what everybody else always asks, which is that same nerdy question. How was your time on Power Rangers when you were Zordon? Everybody always asks him that. Everybody always asks any celebrity that's most notable known for something, what based on that one thing. So I asked him, I said, let's talk about something other than Power Rangers. Now, in the end, I did ask one Power Rangers question, what was it like? But for the most part, he had just released a new book. So when I expressed to him that I wanted to talk about him and his book writing, he was a little taken aback. He was like, well, nobody's ever been interested in, I told him, this is what I want to do. I want to talk about something with you other than what everybody always talks about. And that, like I said, I was very nervous. I was sitting in front of my living room on the sofa like, oh, man, I'm about to interview David Fielding. I was waiting on my conference call app, and the ding went ding, and I was like, oh man, he's on the phone, and I almost pulled one of your moves. I almost hung up like, oh, okay, I'm not here.
Really?
I'm not here. But would you say for those people out there who want to be great interviewers, like I say, guys, I'm gonna tell you for myself, I like to prep, but it depends on the interview. And it depends. Sometimes it also depends on what type of day you're having, whether you prep good or not. Sometimes you can jump right into it. So would you say for those who are first getting into it that prep time would be best for them?
Actually, no, I wouldn't. And I'll tell you why. Okay. So funny enough, the reason I actually started even doing all these interviews was through the Power Rangers also. And what I did, and this is so funny, this is like right when I started doing being on camera for Hashtag Show. We went to Power Morphicon 4 years ago, and I was supposed to just produce it, and Jessica was supposed to do all the interviews. And I literally watched every single episode of Power Rangers. It took me 3 months to get through every episode. And I remember sitting there thinking, there's no way I can prep her with this amount of information. This is too much information for her. So one of our producers, JD, he told me, he was like, well, why don't you just do it? And I was like, sure, whatever. And we went back and forth whether we were even going to go there to that convention because we had press badges, but we didn't know if it was going to be successful. But we ended up going, and I almost got cold feet, and I didn't want to do it. Then JD said, you're here, you may as well do it. So my whole thing with that was like right off the bat, I created a game with them. So I played a game with them, and our interviews were a little different. I would say don't prep, and the reason why is because when you don't prep what you're going to do, pretty much it shows you how you can do it in front of the camera and do it live without the prep work, and it helps you with your ad-lib skills and your interviewing skills in general. Because I've noticed a lot of people when they do their interviews, and listen, I'm no expert, but I've noticed a lot of people when they do their interviews, when they ask a question, you can see in their eyes that they're trying to focus on what their next question is. And I think the important thing is to engage and be in the moment and maybe come up with a follow-up question on what they're saying and don't just be so formulaic in asking your next question. And I think when you do your prep work sometimes and you have like 4 questions, you could very easily get into this mode of like, okay, I just need to hit these questions without really listening to their answers, because through their answers, you can actually get more information and some really good stuff out there.
And it's one of the, it's a phrase that you can use as kind of like that follow the leader. Like one question that you ask can formulate so many other questions just right off the bat. Like I prepped for Jason David Frank because I felt like, okay, this man is busy. I wanted to make sure I have my stuff together. I was told by his people, if you can, try to be brief. And I wrote down 6 questions. 6. That was it. And I said, I'm going to stick to these 6 questions. And once I started the interview, I did him just the same way as I did David Fielder. I asked him questions other than Power Rangers. Of course, he's doing Bloodshot. Let's talk about Bloodshot. You got the karate school. Let's talk about the karate school. But I recently saw an interview that he did on the Christian Broadcasting Network, and he was talking about his faith and his faith walk. And, you know, he always has that phrase, Jesus doesn't tap. And the first question I asked him was, how does your faith propel you in everyday life? How does your faith in God propel you in everyday life? He said, wow. You know, you can hear the interview. He's like, wow, I didn't know what we were talking about today, but, man, that's a good question. And he elaborated on that one question, I promise you, Joe, for about 15 minutes. And I was like, wow, this is not going to be brief. Because he every question I asked, he elaborated deeply. Yeah. And that interview ended up being a total of about right at 50 minutes. And, you know, he was at home, and then I more than likely being at home, you're comfortable. He was at home. His wife was there, you know, so he was comfortable. And like I said, a lot of people, would you say that sometimes when you're interviewing people, that, and not necessarily just celebrities, but if you're interviewing somebody in general, that it's good to ask them questions outside of the norm of the basic interview questions?
Absolutely. I think, that's absolutely it. I think I know a guy when we do these junket interviews, he always asks, what's the worst job you ever had? And that's an icebreaker question, you know what I mean? It makes your subject feel at ease at that point. Because there's so many people out there that have to talk about certain things. Like when we're interviewing people, like especially for these junkets, you're trying to get information about something that you had seen and that's coming out, like a movie or whatever it may be. Power Rangers is very specific too. Like the reason why I even got popularity to begin with was the Power Ranger interviews, because they were just so different. Like my whole interviews were based on a quiz. It's a game, but it's not a hard quiz. It's a super easy quiz that has a sing-along thing, and like, you know, it has all this stuff to it, and people loved it, and they loved doing it because it was just something so different. So, and it's funny now because I'm friends with so many of these Rangers, and we talk all the time. Like I literally was just hanging out with I'm not sure if you're familiar with the newer seasons, but Yoshi Sudarso is a really good friend of mine. Yeah, most definitely. So him and I hang out, like we talk and hang out all the time. But it's putting them at ease and putting them being comfortable. So I owe my interviewing start to the Power Rangers. That's why, you know, now a lot of them are my friends and they'll congratulate me, but I tell them all the time, I was like, listen, I have to thank them because I wouldn't have been able to do all this stuff without them.
And we definitely have something in common, because my YouTube burst, and my friend, shout out to Kevin Garland, my friend Kevin Garland, he does photography out in the California area. He's in the Navy, and he has a photography that he does cosplay photography, and he does other photography as well. But he has a company called Hubster Photography. Okay. And it's HUBSTR Photography. And he told me, he said, hey, keep making videos, because when you make certain stuff and people get to watch it, they will go back and watch the other stuff. So before the Power Ranger movie came out, I committed to doing a Power Rangers countdown. And about a week, I did it for maybe about 10 or 11 days. Every single day I dropped a different video about Power Rangers. That's great. Every single day leading up to the movie. And I did different stuff, like I ended up getting 2 girls on the phone. It's rare to find deep-cut Power Ranger girls that are female who know Power Rangers, who can talk about Power Rangers from Mighty Morphin to Dino Supercharged. Is rare. So
I know a few girls like that.
Go ahead.
I know a few girls like that. Tomorrow we're doing a live stream from Angel Grove Park, because it's right out here in our backyard pretty much. So that'll be fun. But I know a few girls. So
I did a ladies' night, and they talked about what they felt. I asked them to come up with some questions, and they talked about, you know, wanting more female inclusion in Power Rangers, and they went deep on a lot of different stuff. And every day I released something different. It was a couple of videos about who was the best Red Ranger. Like I say, every single day, and those views increased immediately upon impact, and then those views started spreading out into everything else that I was doing. So,
right. Well, let me ask you, Malcolm, who was the best Red Ranger?
For me, when I look at the best Red Ranger as far as somebody who did their best to carry the team, I got to go with Jaden from Samurai. Because he was
Jaden from Samurai, wow.
Jaden, he was strict. He was dedicated from the beginning. Even in the beginning, he was like, look, y'all don't want to do this? Fine. I'll fight everybody by myself. He was consistent.
Wow,
now,
that's a great choice.
If you ask me who's the worst, Troy from Megaforce, hands down. He won the entire.
I don't think. You know what? I actually don't think Troy's the worst. I think Casey's the worst from Jungle Fury. Because he was never necessarily the leader. Like the whole leader of that season was RJ, and I felt like even when RJ said that, hey Casey, you're the leader, he still wasn't the leader. And I think the best, me personally, I think that was an answer with Jaden, but me personally, I got to go with Carter from Lightspeed Rescue.
He was another good leader.
He was the guy that
wasn't strict to the point.
He wasn't super overconfident. He was efficient, but he maintained his like strictness. Another one actually, later on down the line would have been Sky from SPD once he took over for Jack because he was so regimented as a leader.
Exactly.
We could talk Power Rangers all night. That's my thing.
All day long. But I'm actually going to get a chance to meet the guy from Carter from Lightspeed Rescue. There's a convention in Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah, he's great.
There's a convention in Mobile, Alabama in October 17th through 19th in Mobile, Alabama called QuestCon. So it's going to be awesome, guys, if you're in this area. Or when it comes to this area, there's a convention called QuestCon that's coming to Mobile, Alabama.
That's awesome.
Another thing I want to touch on, let's move to another one of your hats. Let's take the interview hat off on, and let's put that hashtag hat on. So I know you got
the producer
hashtag
side of it?
The producer side of it. I know you got it on YouTube, and I know I see you on Facebook and some other social media. So how is it doing that hashtag show? And now we're into the YouTuber, for those out there who want to be good YouTubers. How is it doing that show?
It's busy. It's like the one thing I can say is that, like, I can describe this in 2 words: fun and busy. But it's very rare now that I feel like there's always something to do. Literally, right before you called, I was writing an article for our website, a Star Wars article, and and I handle so much of this that I do the website. I don't do the tech side of it. One of our other guys does that, but I do the articles. I write articles. I do the videos. I sometimes do the editing. I do the conceptualization of new shows we have. I do some of the producing. I do help with the scheduling. I make the big decisions that we have to make. I do all the business deals. I go to all the cons. I make sure everybody's happy. It's really a different world, but at the same time, it's one of the most fun things I've ever done in my life. And like, there are 54 of us here, but like, it's all a sense of family. And I see or talk to at least one person from our show every single day. So it's ingrained in my life now. Like, it's the thing I do when I wake up to when I go to sleep. And by the way, I don't sleep that much anymore. I sleep maybe 4 to 5 hours a night, but I don't complain about it because I actually don't. I'm okay with that because we're always so busy doing things. This has been one of the most fun experiences I've ever had.
And I share those same sentiments. Like, I like when there's something for me to do a video about. I sit down, I get my camera, I record, I post. And, you know, if there's a podcast, I sit down, I record, I get on the conference app, record, make sure it's done. I get it done. I had a lot of sleepless nights during that Power Rangers countdown, even getting off work. Okay, I got to record this video, I got to record this, I got to put this out there, I got to put that out there. And to me, it's fun, and I'm starting to get more and more different equipment, starting to work with a lot of different things. Like, I got my first microphone. My friend Kevin sent me a microphone, man. That was one of the best gifts I ever. He sent me a microphone So now I can have better quality. Now I'm working on getting a new laptop. So if I'm recording videos from a webcam on a laptop, I can have better video quality. But for the most part, I do a lot of my videos on my phone. And
really?
A lot of people, yeah, a lot of my videos, some of my videos that have over 1,000 views were done from my phone.
So that shows the people out there that it doesn't necessarily matter what kind of equipment you got. As long as you got good content, you know, you can get the views.
It doesn't. And like I say, there's an app I use to, you know, create the videos after I do the recording. I just recently did an unboxing video, and you'll probably laugh, but I'm very what's the word, inventive when it comes to certain stuff.
When it comes to what?
I'm very inventive when it comes to certain things.
Okay.
I just unboxed this new smartphone tripod that I got from AccuBar off Amazon. Real nice tripod. And before that, I was using the top of my ironing board, the top of the back of my ironing board to prop my camera to record my video. So now I have an ironing board, and I did a whole video on saying goodbye to the ironing board, tell them thank you for all your hard work. But now I got this, you know, I got this smartphone tripod now. So like I say, I'm starting to get more and more equipment. I'm starting to get more and more things. I'm even looking into next week getting a scissor-on mic stand with the pop screen, so I can make sure that I'm getting good quality sound, you know, when I'm doing certain things. So it's bit by bit, day by day. So guys, if you're out there and you know you're hearing this and you're wanting to do certain things, do things bit by bit by bit, upgrade time over time.
I couldn't agree more. And literally, like what you're saying, I have experienced it. We used to shoot hashtag shows in our friend's garage. And like literally, I remember cutting out went to a fabric store, bought a piece of green fabric, and used that as our green screen. Now I'm sitting in our multi-million-dollar studio, I'm literally here right now. We have 2 offices, a conference room, like all this equipment here, and it just shows how far you can come. You know what I mean? Over time, and anybody can do it. That's the thing. I don't like people to ever be discouraged, because like the truth is, I started off just the same way as everybody else, and there's still so much more I want to do and so much more I want to accomplish. So like I've been there, so I know exactly the struggle, and I will. There's one thing I can ever say to anybody, is that if you have a desire to put out content, put it out, because there's always an audience for you.
Exactly. And I get excited. Like the YouTube creator, I got to shout out YouTube for this. That YouTube Studio app is amazing. I don't know if you have it.
I love it.
I love that app, because when I get those buzzes from comments or subscription, whatever, I can go in there, check my views, I can check analytics, I can change my thumbnails. And like you said, you started in your garage. I'm in my second bedroom in my apartment, and in my background, I've got a Green Lantern blanket that I bought from Walmart for like $3. I covered the window up with that. And I got posters and pop in the background. I got a Captain America shield hanging up. And I love my background. And every day it increases in, different things. And I put new posters up. I finally got a Power Rangers poster up. And I was mad at Walmart, because I looked for Power Rangers merchandise all before the movie. And then my Walmart finally gets posters after the movie. That's
hilarious.
I still bought it anyway, and I put it on the wall. So, like I said, I love it. So, when you're creating content,
yes,
what is the most vital thing that you, and this goes back to the prep conversation that we had with interviewing. What is it that comes in your mind first when you're creating content on the web, as far as video is concerned, for those out there who are wanting to learn to do that?
That's a great question. I think that for me, there's so many things, because I think that, and maybe sometimes, in all honesty, when you're going more low tech, you have an advantage. If you are shooting it on your phone, you have an advantage, because the truth is, you only have to worry about the audio and video that are coming from your phone, which is less of a concern. Us now, we're using our audio is separate than our camera. And that, like, everything is there's so many moving parts that it all has to flow right. Yeah, the quality might be better, but the truth is, sometimes you don't need that. So for me, it's always content first. The content has to be entertaining because regardless of how good it looks, it could be the best looking thing you've ever seen. But if nobody likes it or if it's dumb, then it's worth nothing. So it doesn't matter to me necessarily how you shoot it or how it sounds. It just matters if it's good. If it's good to you, I should say. So content first. If you're going technical side of things, I always think audio is the bigger issue than visual. I know that YouTube is a visual. The truth is you can look at something, but if you can't hear it, it's not worth anything either. At the very least, if you can hear something, you can get the gist of what's going on.
And I'm like that when it comes to, like you said, sometimes your audio and your video is separate. So when I do longer videos, and it's not saying the videos as far as me sitting in front of the camera or me sitting in front of the camera with somebody. Like, for an example, this interview we're doing right now, once we're done, I'm going to go pull some pictures. It's going to be some nice slides. It's going to be beautiful. And I lay the audio on top of that in the great app I like to call Windows Movie Maker on my laptop. So then
Windows Movie Maker guy, huh?
Yeah, I have to go through the audio, make sure there's no dead air, make sure there's no fuzzy stuff, and that takes a good amount of time. Like even when we do our weekly show called Fandom Talk, where it's me and Kevin and my friend Jeremy, who has a group in Pensacola, Florida called Be Terrible Productions. You know, we do a weekly podcast, and we talk about the latest news that's come out. And Fandom Talk episode 12 is up right now, guys. If you haven't checked it out, we went over a lot of different things as far as Star Wars Celebration and James Gunn doing GOTG 3, and we touched on a lot of different subjects this week. But I have to go through and edit out audio and get, like I say, get and make sure everything lines up. And it can be very time consuming. That's why I like with my work schedule, I do what you would call a 4x10. So I work 4 days a week, off 3. So Wednesday and Thursday is my deep content creating day. I can probably get about 8 videos out between Wednesday and Thursday and get it out and get it completed. And we record on Wednesday. We make sure we have everybody together. And as soon as we're done, I'm hitting the computer, editing. I get me a snack, turn the TV on, turn some music on, or watch some different stuff on other stuff on YouTube to catch up with certain things. And but I love it though. I love sitting down doing the editing. It's very time consuming, guys, but it's worth it in the end when you put out a good product.
I feel that people either love editing or they hate editing. It's one of the two. And for me, man, I tell you what, when I first started, I used to stay up all night editing videos, and it was okay. I liked it. It was fine. But now I have a team that does that. So it's right. I don't have to worry about it as much. I know I still edit videos from time to time. I did one last night that we revealed the villain of Luke Cage Season 2 in a video. So I had to do that video last night. But, it's just so much. It is super time consuming. So I understand exactly what you're saying. So I will say this, if you are looking to get into the YouTube market, it's more than just hitting record on a camera and talking to it. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. So you got to be willing. If you want to be successful, you got to be willing to put the work in.
Okay. Now let's switch over. Let's take off another hat. Mm-hmm. I love when you go to these different screenings. I go to screenings too. I have an AMC Premiere. I love my AMC Premiere Award. Because every once in a while they'll send me an email saying, hey, there's a screening coming up. Like I got a chance to go see Going in Style. I love that movie. That movie was hilarious. I don't know if you got a chance to check it out. I got a chance to see Going in Style. I got a screening of that. I just recently got an email that they're doing a screening in my area of the King Arthur movie. So I'm going to get
I saw a very similar email somebody sent me.
Yes. So I'm gonna go get a chance to see that. I think on the 27th, which is next Thursday. So I'm gonna get a chance to go see King Arthur, and I think that movie doesn't come out till May 12th. And I realized that having a membership to that really gives me an advantage on certain things. When they put screenings out, because at first I was like, let me stick to the superheroes and the comics. I said, but no, there's other stuff that people want to talk about. People watch other movies, people watch other things. So that's when I broadened the horizon of my channel to talk about different movies. A year ago, you wouldn't have gotten me to go see King Arthur and then sit in front of a camera and review it. But people want to hear about it. I started doing a test when I would post certain videos. I would say, let me post this video on YouTube but not share it on Facebook. Like I'll normally make a post and say, hey, check this video out. We're talking about blah, 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 blah. Let me just post it on YouTube and see the views. And there was one video I posted, and the next morning they had like 150 views. I was like, okay, people want to know about that. So you never know what people want to know about. So when you go to these screenings, how does it feel to be able to kind of be in the cutting edge floor of, ahead of a lot of other people? And not necessarily, not necessarily being about being ahead, but, there are certain opportunities that are afforded to people, and you have to grasp every opportunity that you have. So how does it feel being able to go to some of these screenings?
So I'm not sure. Actually, it's more of a requirement. So I'll tell you, I'm not sure if you know how this works. So you know how you were talking about those junket interviews that we do with the just like you see on Access Hollywood. Actually, so what happens is with the studios will email us, and we have to watch the movie before we can do the interviews. So that's how we end up going to them. For example, I'll just take you through my week just this last week that just happened. Is Monday, well, leading up to the week, I knew that I was going to see Guardians of the Galaxy, and we were going to do the cast interview. So I knew all that stuff was happening. So my schedule went like this. Monday, we had to be at the Disney lot at 5 o'clock because we had to do the Marvel open house. Now, I don't know if you've been following the news lately. A lot of the big information from Marvel Studios came out of there. We got to see new footage of Black Panther. We got to see new footage of Thor Ragnarok. We got to see new characters introduced in Thor Ragnarok. We got to see Captain Marvel's costume. We got to see Ant-Man and the Wasp. And every different room we went into was hosted by either a Marvel producer or a Marvel director. So we had to do this whole tour first, which was great. I mean, it was open bar. It was free food. It was great. It was at the Disney Studios lot. And then literally we had an hour of downtime to, like, eat or whatever we wanted to do there. And then on the studio lot, we got to see Guardians of the Galaxy. So we had to do that, and that started at 7:30. We didn't end up leaving the theater until, like, the theater at Disney until, like, 10:30. And then I had to go back and write some articles up and kind of do that stuff. So I didn't end up going to sleep till 4:30 in the morning. And then I had to be up the next day at 7 to do my junket interviews, which started at 9. So, 10. They started at 10, but I got up a little earlier. So I was up, and I had to drive from where I live in Manhattan Beach to Beverly Hills, to Hollywood. Drove out to Hollywood, did my interviews from 10 to about 1 or 2. Got back home around 2 or 3, and sent in all my quotes of what we were going to use for stories. And those were video interviews that we posted next week. After that, Wednesday, I had to I'm getting confused on what I actually did on Wednesday. I think Wednesday was supposed to be my off day, but it ended up becoming more of a lot of meetings, a lot of business things I had to go to. So I had to do that on Wednesday. Thursday, I had to do the Marvel press conferences. So I had to do the press conferences at the same place in Hollywood. So I had to go and sit through like 4 hours worth of all these conferences. I actually went. I think they started at 1. I didn't get back home until like 6, and then I had to come to the studio here where we shoot #show stuff, and I had a small meeting here. We didn't get out of here until about 1 in the morning. And then today was my first kind of day of relaxation, but now I've been researching one of the things that we're going out to Hawaii for. I've been doing a lot of research on that today and writing a few articles. So it's all work. I mean, the day-to-day is pretty crazy. Now, going to the screenings, I know this is crazy for your question. It's great. They're a lot of fun to do, but sometimes, I'm not going to lie to you. Sometimes I have to see movies that I don't necessarily want to see. I just have to do the interviews. You know what I mean? So I know it sounds like I'm complaining, but I'm not. But it's sometimes, like, I'm not going to lie to you. I felt there's been 2 times where I've actually fallen asleep during these movies. So
now, while you're there, what is one movie that you had to go see that you didn't want to go see?
Which one? There was a string of 3 movies in a row that were like, you got to see this, this, and this, and I was like, oh man. One of them was Underworld because I'm not familiar with the franchise. The last Underworld movie that came out. The other one was Triple X, but that movie ended up being a lot of fun. But I fell asleep through a lot of it. And Resident Evil is probably the other one. But the movie was actually, Resident Evil wasn't that bad.
Right.
But those are definitely ones. But then it pays off because you get to see Guardians of the Galaxy. I got to see Power Rangers like 2 weeks before it came out.
Right.
So I got to see a bunch of these movies. Like I think the next one I'm doing is probably, I don't even know what the next one is. All I know is I'm trying to focus on Hawaii next week.
Now, you did say that you get into writing articles. So let's we got the screening hat. Let's put on the last hat of the evening, writing. So I know you do producing. So do you write scripts for the show at times?
No.
And how?
I don't know. For our show, for Hashtag Show, no. So we used to try to write everything out and do it on a teleprompter. But I feel that, because when you're going to do these interviews on the floor at conventions or some of these junket interviews, you're going to have the ability to go off the cuff. So what I do is I'll make bullet points on things we're going to hit, and then we'll go off of those. And usually it depends on who you work with here at Hashtag Show on camera. They either give you really good chemistry or sometimes it needs to be done again. So we go based on bullet points. Where we don't try to script anything out because we feel that if we're going to script it out, it's going to be disingenuous. And at that point, you may as well read it on the internet. So we're trying to sell people on our personalities and do our own thing so that we're trying to really not go that route. In terms of me writing, what I do is I write articles for our website or I'll do it for Screen Rant. And that takes up a lot of my time. And the funny thing is I am by no means a writer. I actually hate writing. So certain people hate editing, certain people hate doing other things. I hate writing. But I do it now. Now I'm getting pretty decent at it, but it's still a challenge, still a tour, still a task.
I know me. I like to write here and there, every once in a while. But like you said, for the most part, you write articles for Screen Rant, and they go up on the website, correct?
Correct.
Oh, awesome. Now, what is one thing that resonates through this one-on-one series that I've been doing is a word, and I say, if you watch the one-on-one series, the word is never said, but it's implied, and it's the word consistent. It's the word what? What do you feel about the word consistency?
Oh yeah.
Because in everything that you do, you have to be consistent. So what
100%.
do you feel about that word in regards to people out there who, like we're saying, talking to the people who want to get into things like this or want to take that first step? What do you think about the word consistent?
Dude, I think you hit it right on the head. Now, I don't know if you've done it yet. Have you taken any of these YouTube boot camp classes online?
I have not. I didn't even know that they existed. You just told me something.
Yeah. So check it out. You should actually check it out. You can apply online. It's from the YouTube studios, actually. So you won't physically go to the YouTube studios. They'll send you classes that you go to online. And they'll tell you how to, get a bigger reach or what you have to do for engagement or, how your thumbnail should – it's from everything, audience interaction. You can take any one of these courses, and they're all online courses. So anybody that's gotten a ticket before knows you got to go to driving school and you can do online driving school. It's kind of like that, except they make it really fun and interactive. And you do it through the course of 2 weeks or something. And the first lesson they teach you doing these courses that I've taken is that you have to be consistent. So that's the thing. Don't get discouraged if your numbers aren't what you think they should be right away, because the thing is you have to build your audience. And the only way to do that is by being consistent. That is one of the key things to doing almost anything successfully is consistency. Mainly because if you take the foot off the pedal, you lose momentum. And I think that when you lose momentum, you become unmotivated. What's keeping us going here at Hashtag, honestly, is that we have the foot on the pedal and we haven't taken it off yet. And for us, it's always inspiring just to hit new levels. So we have the momentum going with us. I mean, sometimes things suck over here, but most times things are great. And once you have that momentum, it's nothing can stop you because you're chasing the next thing. And so that's all we're doing. It's right now, I think we're roughly 200 subscribers away from 10,000, and we have 3.1 million views. And for us, it's okay, we want to hit those 200 subscribers within the next month, and it's a doable goal. So every single thing is a new benchmark. It's a new milestone, but you got to be consistent, and it starts first with you, and you just got to keep at it. Like, you just have to keep at it. Do the social media things. That's important. You know, the thing is, like I said before, it's you have to be dedicated to doing it, but in order to do that, you also got to be consistent. So it's almost like when people go to the gym, you know, they have a strategy on how they're going to work out. This is just a strategy for how to try to be successful for YouTube, you know? Like, everybody has there's no right or wrong way to do it, but, you know, the one thing I will say is you got to be consistent and you got to be dedicated.
Now, if you had to, before we go, if you had to leave the people with anything, what is it that you would leave them with? What type of inspiration would you leave them with in order for them to push forward and move forward and do great?
Well, I'd actually leave everybody with two things, actually. So the first thing I would say is don't give up on it. Like, if you have an idea for your YouTube channel or whatever it may be that you're trying to grow or trying to build, do it. And really get in there and do it. Now, it might not, by the end of your journey, it might not be what you thought it was going to be, but sometimes your bad ideas will be weeded out, and those good ideas will come out of different ideas that maybe you'll get people's advice and input, and you'll start creating. So just create and keep at it. Like, don't give up on it, because, you know, it's super important to just stay at it. Like you said, back to the consistency thing. You just got to keep doing it and keep grinding. The second thing I will say is that if you're trying to do this stuff, just in general, whether it be YouTube, whether it be building up your own website, whether it be building your brand, network. The more and more you work with other people, like you and I right now, network with those people, because that way it's a community. We're all trying to grow in a community. And the more friends you can have in this community, the better it is for you and the better it is for them. For example, we're doing this video and we're both going to share it out, so we're hoping to get the maximum exposure to it, and that's going to help both of us. It's a synergetic thing. So I think that the one thing that you have to do is definitely network with people. You know, like, sometimes you're going to need people's help, and sometimes people are going to need your help. But the one thing is, as long as you do it together as a community, you can't really fail.
And you said something very vital about building a brand. I'm going to ask you about that. I know I said that was it, but I got to ask you about brand building.
Hey, ask me about anything, man. I love this.
But you said that word, synergy, and that's the type of thing I like. I like to work with people. I like to network with people. I've been reaching out to a lot of different people in my area, asking them, hey, can I interview you? I want to talk about your filmmaking. Hey, I want to talk about the one-on-one series was created not necessarily to always talk about comic books or what you're a fan of, but to let people express what it is that they do. I got an interview coming up with a guy who he works as a fitness instructor, but he also does cosplay, and he loves comic books. You know,
that's awesome.
You know, that's giving him the opportunity to talk about fitness, and then we slide over and talk about comic books. Like I said, my brother, he's a firefighter in Atlanta, Georgia. We talked about his love for being a firefighter, what it took to become a firefighter, the determination, and then we switched over to talk about old school Nintendo and, you know, and Superman. But you said that synergy. My friend Jeremy Branch down there in Pensacola, Florida, he has his company, his group and organization, Be Terrible Productions. And it was one day where he came over on my end and did Fandom Talk, and as soon as we finished, he said, okay, let's go ahead and record something for my channel. So you need people like that. Even my friend Kevin Garlington with Hustler Photography. When he's doing photo shoots of cosplay, I'm always resharing them. I'm always liking and commenting on them on Instagram, on my Instagram page, and on his Facebook page, just resharing stuff. And he comes on and does podcasts on my channel. So you need that networking. Networking is really big. That's one thing that I have learned in doing this. Is networking is key. The more people you get out to, the more people you reach. So just as another tidbit, what are your thoughts on networking and branding?
Networking is endlessly important, and the reason why is because you see, I live by one motto, and I'm going to tell you a little bit of a backstory here at Hashtag Show. So we used to have a lot of, like, when we first started, and for anyone listening, that if you want to put together a cast, listen to these words, because these are very important things I'm going to say. When we put together Hashtag Show, we started with a very specific cast. I'm not going to say any names. We started with certain people here that at the time either thought they were bigger than the brand or, you know, and the credit to them, they were at the time. But for me, it needed to be a synergetic thing. Like, that was going to be a thing that we all kind of like come together on. But this is at the time they had, you know, we had to deal with a lot of egos because, you know, we were brand new and we weren't established. So we had these certain people here, and what ended up happening is that they kind of screwed us over on a few things. Like, one of them was like we brought them to Comic-Con, they took our badge and just kind of like left. We had a few badges, but, you know, we luckily got ourselves out of that situation, but that was one situation that happened. The other is like, we worked with another company in the past, and they kind of like took our footage and used it for themselves, and it was like kind of like, you know, because at the time they were like an established thing. So I learned real quick that, like, when you're starting out, if you're trying to recruit bigger kind of talent, people can take advantage of you because that's the way it is. That's the way some people do things. But the one lesson I learned by doing that is that the same people you see on the way up is the same people you're going to see on the way down. So for me, I treat everybody as respectful and you know, as I can. And I am going to keep doing that. And these certain people now, it's funny because now that we're a thing now, they've wanted to come back and work here. And it's kind of like, sorry, like that opportunity's passed based on what happened in the past. So in terms of networking, it's very important to me that you try to keep a good relationship with everybody you can. Like I said, it's better to have friends than it is enemies. And I think that one thing that everyone can do in this community, that when we all do it together, you know, it makes everybody better. And it's a better situation when you walk into a room and people like you instead of when people don't like you. So, you know, for me, networking is very important. I feel like you can't do it on your own without the help of like other companies surrounding you. That's just the way it is. In terms of branding, I think that's also a very important thing because, you know, for me, you need a name to be branded with a symbol. When we think of Batman, we think of a symbol. When we think of Superman, we think of a symbol. That's why we kind of created our hashtag logo to look the way it is. And it's funny because Steve Cardenas, the Rocky the Red Ranger, he was one of the first people a few years ago to recognize our symbol, being like, dude, I follow you guys on Instagram. So based on a logo, just in branding, brand recognition, that is a huge thing. Now, some people have seen us, and it's like, oh my gosh, I know you guys based on your logo. And it's just like, that is a crazy thing. Because some of those people on Instagram might not know we do a YouTube channel. So once you tell them that, they check it out, and it kind of expands. But, you know, it's just very different. Like, branding is super important too. But it all depends on what you want to do, because sometimes you want to just be a vlogger, and you don't necessarily want to create a brand. You just kind of want to just get your thoughts out there, and that's fine too. But anybody that is trying to create a brand, you have to just make sure you know what you stand for, and you have to make sure that what you're doing reflects your mission statement. So mission statements are very important too, and I think that's all what brand creating is.
Now, I know with me, you know, you share a similar story to mine. I used to belong to a group once before, and like I broke off, like a lot of different creative differences, and I'm sitting back now, and I remember that even when I left, you know, they tried to get me to come back, and I was like, nah, I kind of just don't want to be bothered with it anymore. And I never thought that I would return to what it is that I'm doing now. I was just going to leave it alone. But I realized that even on my normal Facebook page, people were still following what I was saying about movies or following what I was saying about TV shows. And like I said, in December, I decided, okay, let me step out. Let me create something. I didn't have a name. I just came up with a name out of the blue because I liked the way it sounded. I didn't even have a meaning behind it. I didn't. So I came up with a name, Fandoms Anonymous. But when I talked to my friend Kevin, when I first put out a little promo video that, and I used the theme song to Edge when Edge used to come out back on WWE, and it was that at the beginning the lady would say, "You think you know me?" And that rock beat hit, and I had these different pictures of, you know, superheroes and cartoons and stuff flashing through. and I put it out there. Families Anonymous coming January 2017, and my inbox started blowing up. People like, oh man, I'm glad that you're doing this. I'm glad that you're doing it. I'm glad you're coming back. And when I talked with my friend Kevin, he's real insightful. I get a lot of wisdom from him. He said, yeah, I like Families Anonymous. You know, what was your thought behind it? And I was like, well, it sounded good. He said, well, I'm going to tell you what I thought of it. He said, I thought of it like, you know, you go to that AA meeting.
Right.
You go to that meeting and you're like, you know, hey, my name is John and I'm an alcoholic. He said, but in this regard, you know, you go and you say, hey, my name is John and I like anime. Hey, my name is Peter and I like Power Rangers. And he said, I feel like you're going to create a place where people can come and be who they want to be and like who they want to like and talk about what they want to talk about. And
that's great.
He said, you have to understand, there are people like me. He said, I'm in the Navy, but I dabble in my comic books. I dabble in my TV shows. I dabble in this stuff. There are people that we connect with that are teachers and doctors and all type of different professions that I coincide with when it comes to creating content and doing podcasts. You never know what that person's background is. But to have a place where they can come and sit down, feel comfortable, not feel ridiculed based on what they like, not feel, you know, because some people will try to make you feel bad for liking something.
Right.
You know, I used to get, you know, they'll make you feel bad because you like this. They'll make you feel bad because
I hate that, man. That's that whole bully mentality, man. I hate that stuff.
Right. You like what you like, and you like it for a reason. I may not have all the extensive comic book knowledge in the world because I didn't grow up reading a lot of comic books. But you ask me what happened in Power Rangers Jungle Fever, I'll tell you. You know what I'm saying? You ask me what happened in Digimon, I'll tell you. And Yu-Gi-Oh! The original series. I don't know about that new stuff. There's Dexel, there's Ivy. I'm talking about Yugi, Kaba, Tristan, that Yu-Gi-Oh! You know. But
that's hilarious.
That's what Families Anonymous has become. It's become that place where I get the inboxes where people say, I love the atmosphere. I get the messages and the comments on YouTube, and you know, and I love it. I love every last bit of it.
Mm-hmm. You know, it's so funny you talk about your name, about how you created your name. I actually hated the name That Hashtag Show, and to this day I still don't like it. But it's something. And the funny thing is, like, I remember thinking when we started this, I was like, well, don't worry, we can change the name eventually. And then it kind of like we became like an overnight thing, and it was like, well, now we can't change it, and I'm stuck with it, and it's like, oh my God, I hate it.
Because people gonna look,
so funny.
Where's that other place? They changed the name? Why'd they do that?
Yeah, so now we can't change it, and I'm stuck with it. But at the same time, it's like, hey, you know, I'm just gonna write it out. Sometimes, you know, that's what it's for. But you know, that name came at a dinner one night, and they were like, hey, let's just call it The Hashtag Show, and there was already one taken. So somebody else was like, let's call it That Hashtag Show because we're going to be trending. And I was like, I hate that name, but sure, let's do it for the time being since we can't come up with anything else. And we did it, and it just stuck, and now it's a thing.
And that's awesome. But Joseph, I do appreciate this interview, man. I have loved everything.
I appreciate you interviewing me. It was awesome.
It was an awesome opportunity. This is the time where I always let people plug every single thing that they're doing so people can know where to find you, where to look for you, where to keep up with you at. So let us know where everybody can find you at.
You can find me on Twitter and on Instagram at That Hashtag Joe. That's That Hashtag Joe. You spell out hashtag, and it's just Joe. On Facebook, you can find me on Joe Deckelmeier, and you can find me at That Hashtag Show. You can find us on That Hashtag Show at Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and you can find me doing interviews for That Hashtag Show and ScreenRant.com. And yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Pretty soon I'll be appearing on a BuzzFeed show. I'm going to be hosting a show on BuzzFeed, and I'm going to be one of the correspondents for Comic-Con for the Sci-Fi Channel. So you'll be able to find me there pretty soon. Yeah.
And speaking of Sci-Fi Channel, I like that Krypton trailer that came out.
It was great, right?
I'm looking forward to that. But something happened. Did they take it down?
Yeah, so it leaked. So that's the story. It leaked out, and it wasn't supposed to go out yet, and it got taken down.
Man, I think they're doing a Deadpool situation because the internet is buzzing about it. The internet is buzzing about it.
I got a question for you. So Guardians of the Galaxy just happened. What are you thinking of? What do you think about the movie? Like, what are you going in? Like, obviously the first one did really well. What do you think about this movie? Like, because when I went in to watch the movie, I didn't necessarily know who the villain was. I didn't know. I mean, I know the world, but I didn't know much about it. But I'm really curious to see what your thoughts are about the Guardians movie.
I'm excited for Guardians too because it was one of those sleeper movies, just like Ant-Man, that nobody thought was going to come out and be a hit. So
right.
I'm going into it ready to get back into this world. Like, I love the world of Guardians of the Galaxy. If there's a movie out that my wife says that she likes, and we like it together, I get it because I will feed off of that. Like, hey, you know, Guardians of the Galaxy is coming out. We got to go see it. We got to go to the movie. Now, anything else, she's like, not going to see it. You know, but this, I love it. I love the world. I love the color scheme. I love everything that they did in the first movie. So I'm ready to jump back into this world and to see how it's going to progress the MCU forward. But for it as itself, I'm ready to see Ego. I'm ready to see get back. I'm just ready to get back with this group of people. I was watching an interview with Chris Pratt and Batista. They were talking about being on the set in Infinity War. They was like, you know, yeah, when we come on the set in Infinity War, it's like we're cocky. We're the Guardians of the Galaxy, and they carry that same cockiness in the movie that they carry in real life, you know, when it comes to doing press junkets or when it comes to, like they said, they were on the set of Infinity War, and it's that group of people, they've really become where you don't know them as anything else. Like Zoe Saldana, I remember her back in Drumline. I marched at HBCU band, so I remember her back in Drumline way back when, and I remember Chris Pratt on Parks and Recreation, and I remember all, you know, Bradley Cooper from The Hangover and everybody else that's synonymous with the movie. But to see them as they are now, it's like you can't separate them. You know, when you see them, it's like, you know, it's like those are the Guardians of the Galaxy. So as far as Guardians of the Galaxy is concerned, to answer your question, I'm excited to get back into this world that
Interesting.
Created, that James Gunn created.
Now, the other question I had for you is, out of all the Power Rangers, based on your personality, which Power Ranger would you be?
Ooh, got me. Got to sit down for this. Which one would I be?
Oh yeah, who do you think people would say you would be?
You know, if I had to say who I would be, of course I'd say Tommy. But
right.
People had to say who I would be. I'm calculating my brain through all 20 million seasons of Power Rangers. Who do I feel like I most definitely connect? If I felt who I really feel like I connect with is, and this is just on a whim, the Blue Megaforce Ranger.
Noah.
Interesting. I'm very curious. I like to learn. I like to adapt. And throughout that entire season, he learned and adapted. It kind of made him the Billy character in a sense. He learned
a little bit.
And adapted, and he was curious about everything that was going on, and it ended up helping people at the end. You know, sometimes everybody has their own issues with self-esteem or, you know, the belief system or whatnot, but he had to grow to believe in himself throughout the entire season. I think one of the hottest episodes of Megaforce was the episode when he learned how to use those swords.
The sword, yeah.
Yeah, he had to grow. And that's what I've been experiencing in my life is just consistent growth. So I definitely identify with Noah.
Interesting. That's a good choice.
Most definitely. But guys, this has been an amazing interview. If you guys don't know who we are, we're Fandoms Anonymous. That's FANDOMS ANONYMOUS. We're all over social media. We're on YouTube and the YouTube channel. Go ahead and subscribe to it. Don't forget to hit the bell link so you can get notifications when we post new videos. Like and comment on some of the videos that we have going on. We got a lot of new content up. And also, we're on Facebook. Come join the group and join the discussion. We're on the Facebook fan page. Like the page and check our daily updates. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram. It's at Fandoms_Anonymous17. And don't forget to also follow us on Twitter at Anonymous_Fan17. But guys, as I always say, again, thank you, Joseph. And
thank you.
If there isn't anything else, Guys, have a good one.
Take care.
Fandoms Anonymous.